Hi guys, welcome to another Divi theme video. This is Jamie from System22 and webdesigntechtips.com. Well, we got a fun one for you today. This is a bit of a continuation from yesterday's video. We're going to create these floating images right here. As you can see, they're floating up and down at different rates. When I put my mouse on them, they're going to stop. And of course, you can click on them, pop them out into a light box if you want to. Now, there's a lot of plugins out there that you can get to do this, but you can also do it very easily without a plugin. We're going to do that today. Actually, one of my favorite plugins, Divi Supreme Pro, has this feature in it. But like I say, we're going to show you how to do it without a plugin today. So let's enable the Visual Builder. Once enabled, let's just roll down to where we want to work. And I'll delete this row and we'll start from scratch. Great. Well, I'm going to add a new row, a little green button. And for mine today, I'm going to use 3 columns. Obviously, put in as many or as few as you want to put in yours. Now I'm going to roll down. I'm going to use a simple image module right there. Now, of course, this will work with any module you like. Just happen to be doing it with images today. Let's pop us in an image. Click on the placeholder. And I'll use these square images I had before. Just under image, you've got link where you can choose either to open it in a lightbox. I'm going to put that to yes. If you put that back to no, you can put in any URL you want and link this image to anything you want. That actual text right there, which looks like a bunch of gobbledygook, is actually the name of this crazy image. And I'll show you how to remove or change that in a moment. And if you do put a link in there, always best practice if you're linking to your own site, open it in a same window. If you're linking off-site to somebody else's website, open it in a new tab. That way, your site will stay open. Okay, I'm going to put mine in a lightbox. Not going to put a background in there. Not going to do any design or anything like that. I'm going to jump straight over to where we were yesterday, over in Advanced and Custom CSS right here. Now I'm going to be using this freeform CSS tab. Any CSS I write today, I'll put down below the video for anybody that just wants to copy and paste. CSS is a wonderful, fun thing to learn. You can do some crazy things for it. Plus, it's not like PHP or something. You can't actually mess up or break your site with it. With CSS, if you do something and you don't like it, simply delete it. It'll go back to how it was. They've got the option to do it for you with AI if you want to. It's free initially, then you can upgrade and pay for it. I like to write my own code, but if you want to explore that, there's an option for you. Okay, the first thing I want to do is give this a class name. All class names have a dot or a period in front. And I'm going to call mine bn bounce im for image. You can call yours exactly what you want, but I like to make mine mean something, and it has to be unique. Okay, so it's a class name. I'm going to open and close some curly brackets. Inside those curly brackets, we can tell this class name what we want it to do. I want it to animate this thing up and down, so I'm going to say animation. Then we need to give the animation a name. I'm just going to call mine bounce. Again, you can call yours what you want, but it does want to be unique. And I'm going to start off with this taking 4 seconds perhaps. And I want it to keep going and going, so I'm going to say infinite. And that'll keep rolling round and round and round in a loop, basically until we tell it to stop. So I'm happy with that. Now we've actually got to create this animation that we've called bounced. And we're using keyframes for this today. So I'm going to say at keyframes. Then the name of it, which was bounce. Then we can open some more curly brackets and create the actual animation itself. And you can use any CSS for these. You can use fading in and out, colors, whatever you want. So I'm going to start off at 0% when the page loads, or basically at second 1 of our 4 seconds there. After the 0%, I'm going to open and close some curly brackets. And inside, I'm going to tell it what we want it to do. Now you could use negative margin with this, but I'm actually going to use transform translate over the y-axis. So I'm going to say transform, translate. I want to do it on the y-axis so it goes up and down. When it starts, I don't want it to do anything. I want it to start at the bottom, so I can put some round brackets on the end of there. I'm just going to put a 0. So it's not going to do anything at all. Then halfway through, I'm going to copy this again from the 0% to that first curly bracket there. Don't copy the second one. That's encapsulating the whole of the animation there. So I'm going to copy what we've just done there. I'm going to drop down. I'm going to change that 0 to 50%, which would be the end of second 2 of our 4 seconds there. I'm going to use a pixel value here over in the translate. I'm going to say negative 20 pixels. So that will pull it up by 20 pixels. Negative 20px. Great. So second 1, it's going to be there. End of second 2, it's going to be 20 pixels higher. But I want it to come back down to 0 again and start the whole thing again. So I'm actually going to put a comma here and put 100% as well. So at 0 and at 100%, it's going to go back down to 0. But as you may have noticed, there's absolutely nothing happening. And if you watched yesterday's video, you know why. Because we haven't assigned this image that class name. When you assign the class name, you do not need the dot or period. When you write it in the code, you need that dot. But when you assign it to an element or module, just need the name. So we're going to get out of the custom CSS, and just above, I'm going to find CSS IDs and CSS classes. It's a class name. Don't put it in the CSS ID up there. Paste it in there. As you can see, that's now bouncing up and down. Exactly what I wanted. But just for a bit more fun, I thought, well, when it bounces up, let's put a bit of box shadow underneath it. So if we close that back up, and you will always find CSS IDs and classes and custom CSS over in the advanced. While we're here, I'm going to go down to attributes. Remember that crazy number that appears when we roll over it? Like I say, that's the image title. You can call it whatever you want and have that pop up. Or you can get rid of it completely, which I tend to do with these images, and have nothing there. Great. So let's go back into our custom CSS now. Like I say, when it's up in the air, we're going to add a little box shadow under it. So that was our 50% mark right here. I'm just going to go down a line, and we're going to say box shadow dash shadow colon, and we'll start off with 0 pixels, left and right. I want it in the middle, and let's say 10 pixels up and down, and we'll say 20 pixels spread. And we'll give it a color, say 444, which is a dark gray. Now, if you look at that image, it's got that little box shadow. That's a bit of fun. Of course, these styling things are up to you entirely. And you can go on ad infinitum doing whatever you want and get some crazy things going. But to me, that's pretty effective. Simple, yet effective. Once you're happy with that, you can save it. Now, one other thing I'd like to do, I mean, that's great. But as you can see, when we try and get in the module and things, it's bouncing up and down. This isn't particularly bad, but I'd kind of like it to stop when we've got the mouse over it. Very easy. Let's go back in there and modify that code a little bit. Over to Advanced, Custom CSS, Freeform CSS. I'm going to copy my class name here and the animation, everything, to the last closing bracket there. Control C. I'm going to drop down and paste it. Control V. After the M of the class name with no gap, I'm going to put a colon and the word hover, no gaps there at all. And where it says animation there, I'm going to say none. Now when I hover over, it's going to stop animating. When I take my mouse off, it'll start back up again. Great, so I'm happy with that. Let's save our changes. Now to get the effect that I had before, we don't have to go through all that again. We can simply duplicate this with the 2 little squares here. Drag one of them over, doesn't matter which one, they're both identical. We'll go into this one. I'm going to change out the image. Now I need to go into the code because I want these bouncing up and down at different rates. I know at the moment they look like they're bouncing at different rates, but if I was to refresh this page, they'd be in sync with each other. So I'm going to go over to my code and change the timing on this one. Over to Advanced, Custom CSS. I'm going to change the class name as well. I'm just going to put a 2 on the end of mine. I'm going to put a 2 on the end of the animation name. I need to put a 2 on the hover state there, just at the end of the M. And for my keyframe's name, I need to change that out also. And that should be good. Now I'm going to change the actual timing of this to 6 seconds, or whatever you want to change yours to. And of course, we need to update the class name that we gave this. We know how to do that. It's just on top there, CSS IDs and classes. Just going to put a 2 there. Now this one will be going up and down, taking 6 seconds. And the one on the left is taking 4 seconds. And yet again, if you want to do it one more time, we had 3 of them before, we'll duplicate. All you've got to remember is change that CSS class name and also change the name of the animation. And you probably want to change the image as well. Back over to Advanced, Custom CSS. I'm going to change this to a 3. Now, everywhere I see a 2 there, I'm going to change it to a 3. And let's change this. We had 4, we had 6. Let's make this 5. Now, when I save and refresh this page, they are doing what I want here, but it'll show you the complete picture when I do that, which is great. And of course, now you've got that class name, you can actually apply that to anything you want. If we go down here, I've got a whole load of modules. If I wanted them all to go up and down, I could apply that class name to perhaps that column. Just go in there, got to go into the column, over to Advanced, CSS IDs and classes, and I give it whichever one of those class names, so bnim. As you can see, that whole column's bouncing up and down there, if that's what you want. It's kind of making me a little seasick. Let's take that away. But you get the idea. You can apply that to any module, any row, anything you want, your class names, and it'll do that. Just take it away if you don't want it to do it. So let's save this, make sure it's all going to work on the front end. Save the main row changes. Hit the little purple button. Save draft, or publish if you're ready. And let's exit the Visual Builder. And we'll go on down to where we're working. And there's our little images. When you put your mouse over it, it's going to stop. Of course, you can click on it, pop it out into a light box. Just notice somewhere there I didn't take the attributes away from these images. They still got the crazy numbers on there. But you know how to fix that. So there you go, guys. There's how to create floating images without a plugin. Really easy to do and nice little effect to have on your site. And don't forget, all that code I'll put down below the video. Modify it, use it how you wish. So once again, this has been Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Don't forget, if you have any questions, pop them down below. I'll do my best to answer them or make a little demo video like this one. If you've enjoyed this today, please give it a thumbs up, ring the bell, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Plenty more coming. Once again, this has been Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.